Live. Awesome. Guys, I'm back. I had a podcast yesterday. I have a podcast today. And today I'm joined by Kilian Markert. I hope I pronounce it right. A German buddy of mine we've met in Frankfurt. Was it Frankfurt?
Yeah, Frankfurt.
Frankfurt at the, what was it called again? The
Growth Seminars.
Growth Seminars, exactly. Because I know you
Mario
as a...
Tomic was there, Boston was there.
Yeah, Mario Tomic, Bojan Bellingar, and I know you as a high-performance coach. You already gave me a lot of good advice regarding my own habits, my own performance, my own productivity, because I'm a big fan of basically optimizing your whole environment for maximum performance, for best habit building possible, and just to reach your goals even faster. So today, I guess we'll have a pretty interesting episode.
Man, thanks for having me. I'm super pumped. I love this topic. It's my passion. You will see that, guys. It's going to be some good value nuggets in here. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about, but I'm sure I'm going to start a rant or something. No, it's going to be fun. Thanks, man.
Yeah, totally. Because also realized in the last couple of years how important it is to have the right habits in your life and then to stick to them. Because I guess most people, they already know what they should do, but then to do the things that matter on a daily basis, this is actually the difficult thing. So what would you recommend to people? What should they do if they want to stick to their habits in a better way, a more efficient way?
Mm-hmm. I would tell them, first distinction, forget willpower, prepare your environment. So, many people, they kind of know it's so important to stick to your habits, and, they know all this importance of self-discipline and, being consistent. They know that stuff by now. But the thing is, people don't know how to do it. How do I become disciplined? People believe, from my experience, they have to discipline themselves. And by disciplining themselves, they mean, okay, the phone is there. I know I shouldn't check it. So let me just force myself to not check it. Use my willpower, to not check the phone. But this stuff, and also in the other direction, okay, let me force myself to go to the gym. Let me force myself to eat the broccoli or make something, a healthy meal, right? Mm-hmm. But that is the biggest thing. Have that mindset shift from willpower doesn't work towards prepare your environment. Willpower, you cannot use willpower. It's a finite resource. So everything you want to do, start with the idea, how can I make it easy for myself by preparing my environment? Pretty good example is always what I like to use for my clients as well is airplane mode or tools like app blockers, like downtime feature, which you use. So you're basically making it easy for you not to check the phone and be focused. Pretty easy example. You can implement that for everything. Man, I'd like to show you my room here. Like, I have eaten or drunk a smoothie for nearly a year now every day. And this is also super interesting for your listeners of your podcast who are into health, into optimization, into just becoming the best version, also on the fitness side, right? And I have not gotten sick now. In August, it marks a year. And before that, I've been getting sick at least 3 to 4 times each fucking year.
Yeah, crazy.
And now I'm not getting sick anymore. I used to be the guy getting sick all the time. Why? Because I've set up my nutrition once. I made it a habit. I designed my environment. What do you mean by designing your environment with a smoothie? Yes, I made it super easy. I buy my fruits, the chia seeds and stuff I eat, nuts, seeds, everything, broccoli, everything, put it in place. It's super easy. I just get my blender, put in the stuff, and then I make my smoothie every day. I down it, I drink it, I'm healthy, it's awesome. So this is another example, design your environment. You just walk in there, you see it, you're getting triggered, and then this is how you stick to your habits.
You said it really beautifully. I also had a female client. She had issues to get her protein powder on a daily basis. And I also told her, put it in the kitchen somewhere where you can see it. As you say, you need to see it and to get triggered. If you even need to open a door or something, it's almost too much effort.
Yes, 100%. I'm a big fan of guys like James Clear, guy who wrote Atomic Habits. A recommendation for you guys watching the podcast or listening to it. Definitely very good for improving your habits. And one of the big ideas coming from behavioral science, which is like a whole part of science, right? Who deals with human behavior and also your habits. They say we are a product by our environment, which means we are reacting to triggers in the environment. So just make sure you have good triggers that lead to good behavior, and then, you know, it's easy. You can then trust basically the process. You trust the structure. You just know, I wake up, I walk out of my room here, for example, and there's the yoga mat already. I do my morning yoga, you know, to get in a good state and everything. And then I see already my journal. I see already my meditation cushion. I sit on there, I meditate. I see my journal, I write it in. Man, I'm not using any willpower on that. I just do it. It's designed, it's easy, it's fun. And I save my willpower for the challenging tasks that I directly tackle after the morning routine. That's creative stuff. That's content writing, post writing. That's a bit of strategy for my business. That's also, you know, solutions, problem solving for my clients and so on. That's what I use it for, you know, and not on things that don't matter.
Yes. I guess you also have the same clothes on a daily basis, right?
Yeah, people tell me I'm Steve Jobs, you know, because I always have this black T-shirt going on, you know. I mean, you know, I have a little bit of variation, of course, but man, nothing that I like stand in front of the mirror and ask myself each morning, what should I wear today?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
that's a big thing. Also realize every time I need to make a decision, I also burn some willpower. Always when I have the decision fatigue, I burn a lot of willpower. So that's also a big thing. Always when you need to make a decision, it's madness.
Yeah, and it's super interesting because we all probably know this feeling when we, in the morning, we're super excited, super pumped, have all this motivation and willpower. And then in the evening, we feel super drained, you know, after hard work, and we just want to slack off. And usually that's the time when people deviate from their habits, right?
Yes.
You probably notice too in your coaching, that's the time usually people, they cheat on their diet, or, you know, they do the stuff they shouldn't be doing because they're like, oh man, let me watch some Netflix and eat some cookies, whatever, because willpower is so low, right? And that's why preserve willpower as long as you can, then have things in place that make you sure you're relaxing, you're kind of recharging yourself with the willpower reserves, like things like meditation is great for that. Like what I said earlier, going to a sauna, that's what we talked before the podcast, having things like that, relaxations, you know, but also find something that you like. Maybe for you, it's going out with your friends and recharging that way. Super important. And then what I would recommend as well, also in the evening, very important, when you want to make sure that you're actually not wasting so much time in the evening, make sure you also have the tools and the systems in place. What am I saying here? Things like, you know, using the downtime feature that actually kicks you out of your the apps you don't want to be using at a certain time. For me, each time, 9:45, I get kicked out of Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, you know, because you know that probably just scrolling, watching everything, and you forget the time, and then, you know, wasting so much time, you're not getting enough sleep, and everything starts on a bad note. So have the system in place that protect you. Technology can be good, but it can be super addictive, and then you don't have to rely on willpower in the evening to stick to your stuff.
What's the app called that kicks you out?
It's basically just a feature of iOS. If you have an iPhone, you just go to settings, and then you go to screen time, and then you click on the downtime feature. I can show you here. It's here. You go settings, screen time, and then you just click downtime. And then you click on downtime. For me, each day from 9:45 to 1 actually p.m. I have the downtime thing. And that's the good thing. I used to use the airplane mode a lot, which I still recommend. It's very easy. But the downtime feature makes it so much better for me because I can still in the morning use meditation apps, for example. Or I can, you know, maybe for my business, I'm on the go somewhere and use my Evernote. You can't do that if you don't have internet connection, right?
That's a good one.
And that's why I just block the stuff I don't want to be using, and I give exceptions for the stuff like calendar, like, you know, meditation app, yoga app, and so on. So it doesn't really matter. I can just do my phone stuff because I know I won't do stupid shit there, and that's making it super easy.
That's exactly why I wanted to have you here. That's like the next level stuff, because I'm super primitive. I always use plane mode. So when
Yeah.
my client want to reach me, I'm always like, you cannot reach me before noon. Plane mode is in there. No one can reach me. I don't care who it is.
Yeah, but that I actually like that attitude, because you want to protect your creativity and your your deep work in the morning. But this way you could build a different channel. Very interesting for people who are doing client work. Maybe you talk to your clients on Telegram or on another channel, and you just give an exception for that channel, and then you just have access to them, and without being distracted by Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good one. I also have an example from my life. You can also give me feedback. I'm a little bit extreme when it comes to that. So last year I had a photo shoot, and I wanted to be sure that I'm in shape. So what I did is I had no food at home, and I had to walk to the train station to buy my first meal. So I had to get in like 5,000 steps already, get my first meal, either walk back or take the bus back. So I had and I was listening to an audiobook while I did that. So in the first 30 minutes, I did my steps. I had my first meal, which was healthy because I had no food at home. And I was listening to a podcast or an audiobook. That's like an extreme example, first thing in the morning. But I guess it's really a good approach, because you basically need to walk back. You need to buy some food. So,
For how long have you been doing that?
I don't remember, perhaps 1 month or something.
1 month, that's a long time. Yeah, I mean, with these things, when they work for you, totally fine. But with all these kinds of approaches, or with all kinds of habits, you want to ask yourself, how sustainable is it? That's actually one thing I like and learned a lot from Mario Tomic. He talks about these things, what's the best diet and so on. And he says, like, how sustainable is it, man?
Yes.
That's the kind of thing you want to be asking yourself. And you're an expert on that when it comes to fitness. But also think about this for habits, for using the phone, for all these kind of things you want to be doing in the morning. How sustainable is it? Can I stick to it in the long run? And that's why, for everybody starting out, a good advice: standardize before you optimize. That's what James Clear always says, and that means make sure it's becoming a habit first, no matter how small, before you're doing these weird things. I see everybody, trying to get into meditation, and then they start out trying, okay, let's meditate 20, 30 minutes. It's way too long. It's way too long. Meditate your 1 to 2 to 5 minutes, maybe. Get consistent with it. Your brain makes a habit out of it, and then you can make it longer, and and start all this chakra stuff and whatever.
Chakras. That's the best example, because with meditation, that's the one habit. I mean, with reading, you can see a benefit from the first minute with reading. If you read the right page, you get the best value. Yeah. But if you start to meditate, it's one of these habits that perhaps you see the first benefits after 1 year or half a year. And for me, also was the fact that I started, or better say, like 1.5 years ago, I told myself just to meditate for 1 minute. Yeah. And how I did it was simple, stupid. So my trigger is actually, when I wake up, I just put my ass on my pillow and I meditate the first thing. I don't even go on the toilet most of the time. Just meditate for at least 1 minute, and then it's done. And like that, I also basically installed that habit, like you say, just with 1 minute, and then you can always amp it up.
Yeah, that's very awesome. I love this approach, because this leads back to this idea of identity-based habits, which means kind of, what kind of person do I want to become, and then what would that person do? Yeah. This is super awesome to ask yourself. I want to become a more mindful person. I'm more stressed. Then this person would take some time each day to actually chill out and find the present moment and let go of the stress of the day, and be in the present moment. And then if you want to become that person, you would be doing a little bit of meditation each day, if it's only 1 minute. And you're kind of casting a vote for the type of person you want to become and you want to be. And by that, you're collecting evidence, you're collecting tiny steps, and over the time you start to believing that you are that kind of person. And this is a super powerful approach, because people think like, collecting evidence with meditating, like, what do I care? But think about this. You can apply this concept for everything. For example, for changing your own personality, you want to be more confident. You want to, make more money even. This whole idea of being abundant with money, and then collecting tiny steps, looking at the things you've already achieved in your business with others and so on, Like this idea of stepping from your current personality in your desired personality by actually collecting small wins, tiny steps, This is super important. It's the same in the gym, collecting these small wins, these small incremental gains. And then over time, you're becoming the person that you want to be. But people, they think it's radical shifts. No, it's these tiny steps, man, and they compound over time. And this is, this is the thing people should be looking at.
So how do you collect these simple wins? Do you write them down, or do you just think about them?
I would basically collect it. It depends. Okay, let's start this way. It depends what your goal is. For example, a very basic approach for many people struggling with self-esteem, for example, very, very, very strong concept, not feeling very good. This is usually a problem that you're just not looking at the right evidence. Because, imagine you have a scale, and then there's proof saying that you are not cool, and there's proof saying that you're cool. Let's put it this way, right? And this proof is consisting of situations, experiences from the past. And probably you have a little bit too many rocks on the scale that tells you I don't feel good enough.
Yeah.
And the thing that you should be doing is you should focus on the things that tells you are actually good enough, and stack more things on it and remove more of the rocks to the other side.
Yes.
This is the thing. So how do you do this? The funny thing is, for any kind of belief, you can find evidence. It just depends on what you're looking at. There's this great example of the flat earth guys. If you start, that's super interesting. If you just, let's become open, the world is flat.
So wait, Kilian, you actually believe the world is round, or what?
Yeah, I'm crazy. I know, yeah, I'm crazy. But the point I'm trying to make here is, if you are open for any kind of belief, you can find evidence. There's this, if you search online for flat earth stuff, there's a lot of stuff telling you, man, that stuff makes actual sense. The earth
it's so crazy flat. When I read it, I think like, what, does it make sense?
Yeah, and there's actually a lot of evidence. But of course, people who are believing it, they're not looking at the overwhelmingly way more evidence of the stuff that shows the earth is actually round, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying, of course, you can always find proof for anything that you are not good enough, whatever. But the way I be doing it is, you look at what was happening in the past that actually proves that I am this way. So like, if I'm good enough, or for example, also you want to be more confident, man, which was already proof where you were confident. Everybody has these things. Yeah. There's literally no thing where you have not been. You're just not looking at it. And then what you can do is you can write it down, make a little list. What I like to do as well, man, I can recommend that for everybody who's having a business, have like something called success stories of your clients, where you actually got good feedback. And also on a personal level, like something like called wall of love, where people told you, man, gave you good feedback, gave you, said nice words to you, things like that. Because, we know that we're good. We know that we are capable of doing great things, but we forget it all the time. We get it clouded up. So just to summarize this thing, make a list with stuff. And then very deep, I can go later into more detail about that. Have a mindset routine. Have kind of the thing each morning, going into these things, getting into a great state. And then from that state, you go into your day. Because it reminds you every morning, I'm actually becoming that person. I'm becoming more confident. I'm becoming more like this. And then it's way more easy to become the person you want to be.
I love that concept. I love it. The thing I also started doing is me right now, I want to grow my business. I want to make more money on a monthly basis. And I realized, okay, the coach Charles that makes more money, he already exists. I just need to basically behave through that identity. So always when I have a tough decision to make, I ask myself, what type of decision would this Charles take that is already there? Then I always know the answer, and okay. And then I also need to go against my emotions, of course, because my emotions want to hold me back. So I don't even need to trust them. I just feel my emotions, the sensations on my body. I'm like, this could be fear, this could be excitement, this could be nervousness. I don't care. I just do the thing, and then you push through it. Oh, how would you recommend this? Is this a good approach?
This is a very good approach. I really like this one, and it plays into this idea of there's a war going on between two selves, which is basically the future self, your desired self, your coach child self, and your current self. And there's a gap between those two. There's a gap between who you want to become, who you want to be, and who you are right now. And this gap of your ambitions, where you see yourself, and the gap between where you are right now, this is causing you a little bit of frustration. It's the gap of frustration, and it's also the gap that causes self-sabotage, because it's not yet in our reality that we are that person. So we're trying to do behavior that is in line with someone which we are currently not. And that means we sabotage because we want to go back. That's the time when you feel like, oh man, I'm feeling resistance, because it's not in your self-image. This is the power of psycho-cybernetics, all these kind of visualization classics. And you're only able to behave as you believe you are. So this is basically this is why hypnosis works. This is why you can tell if someone really believes that you're not strong enough to lift a pen, really believes it, he cannot lift the pen. Because he's
crazy, right?
Yeah, because he's under the influence of a strong belief. And this is the same thing. So what you have to be doing is you're actually saying, okay, taking stock. Who am I right now? Who do I want to become? And then bridging that gap by also taking tiny steps and accumulating proof that you are actually already becoming that person. I was actually talking to someone earlier about this idea. It goes also in line with affirmations and so on. And many people, they do, in my opinion, a wrong approach. They see a goal that they're having. You can say a goal or kind of person I want to become. It's all very similar, right? And then they try to trick themselves to believe I'm already like that. I already have that money on my bank account. I already see it, and it's just manifesting right now, right? But the problem is, deep down, they don't believe it. Deep down, they know, like, that's bullshit. I'm just tricking myself here. So that's why I feel that's not working for many people. Of course, it depends on how suggestible you are. Some people, you tell them something and they believe it, everything what you tell them, and then for them it works. But if you're like more skeptical, it won't work for you. So what I always recommend, focus on the proof that already shows that you're becoming that way. For you, for example, that would be, man, I already made some money with some clients. Or look how well this is going. Damn. How nice reviews I got from these clients I helped out. This is actual facts, this actual proof, and you just make sure that you revisit it regularly, because that shows you're becoming that person, you believe it, and then this way you're programming the subconscious mind.
Love it. So you mentioned the mindset habit or mindset routine. How does your mindset routine look like, or how should the viewers build their mindset routine?
Yeah, so this was a big shift in my thinking that I made recently. I think most of the guys hearing mindset, they know, mindset is important, right? Mindset is a big thing, and I heard about it, but hardly anybody is really doing it consistently and really putting effort in it, right? You hear everybody talking about it, but nobody does it consistently. And then I talk to like really high-level mentors, high-level guys who are crushing it really, like seven figures and stuff like that. And these guys, what they are saying is mindset is the #1 task in business. And I was like, what, man? No, taking action, closing deals, whatever, all that stuff is #1 task, right? But they're saying, and they come from a higher level, when you don't have your mindset straight, when you don't improve the how of how you show up, then the what doesn't really matter. Then you can even do more harm than you're doing good if your how is not right, because if you're interpreting things from the whole different perspective that it should be interpreted. So that's why having the right mindset is so important, because if you come from a spiritual perspective, it's like your internal reality creates your external reality. And it's the same thing. You can always interpret two things like one thing with two ways. You can always view it in a good way and in a bad way. So that's why mindset is so important. So how am I doing it after I realized it's so important? And it was basically, I put it after my morning routine, or a last thing of my morning routine, and then it's the first thing I do starting my workday, basically. So this makes sure I have a transition. I do my meditation first, which gets me already in my brainwaves into a nice state, gets me relaxed. Then after that, I do my mindset routine, get into an awesome state, and then I do my most important tasks for my business. But this, for me, my business tasks are always being in conversations with people, being in conversations and putting out value. And for them, it's super important that you're actually showing up in a way that inspires them. So what I'm doing right now is each morning I have a vision board. First, I have a small vision board showing the things I want to be achieving in terms of goals. And this, just a couple of goals. Otherwise, it overwhelms you. And then I also have the same thing for my personality. What is my identity? How do I see myself? And then I read a couple of character traits of the kind of person I want to be, I want to embody. What is really important to me? How do I want to show up each day? And what is the kind of person I am? And then I have a little bit of a description of what is my mission? What do I see my mission in life? A reminder of that. And this is just one thing. I have like a dashboard, which I also use for my clients, where I track my habits and my goals, everything. It's just a tab in a Google sheet where I have the complete overview of that. And then I go into a document, like a Word file. And in that document, I have a couple of affirmations, like usually 10 to 15 affirmations is enough. And what I do with these affirmations is that you want to make sure that you're reading the type of behavior you want to embody. Like an example for that would be, I am happy with where I am right now in my life. I don't need anything, or better phrase it positively, I am happy with where I am right now. I allow myself to be happy with where I am. I have achieved a great deal. It's just the beginning. I'm super grateful for how far I've come. Especially for guys, like you and me. I know you're also similar. We always want to do stuff. We want to maximize our potential. Super important to have that reminder to overcome perfectionism and so on. So how do you have a little affirmation? You have written down how it makes you feel. This makes me feel very calm when I know, I don't have to rush, don't get anywhere. And then what I do as well, I add the proof. I add the proof in my head. That's the thing I've been talking about. I have a clear situation in my head where I really see myself chilling down and being calm. And the proof that tells me I can actually chill down is, yeah, man, think about this. I've achieved this and this and this, this. And it's super awesome, And then I go through that. I remind myself that I should feel great after the mindset routine. And then, man, I don't leave the mindset routine, so this sheet, after I feel really smiling, I feel happy, I feel great emotions. And then I start my workday. How powerful is that, man? Like, nobody does that. To make sure, take charge of the emotional state each morning, and then this way go into your work. And this changes everything.
Man. So just to be clear, you have a vision board and there you have pictures, or do you also have like written stuff? Or just written stuff?
I have a combination. I have on the left is my vision board with the pictures, and on the right is the character traits I want to embody, plus my goals.
Okay.
And then from there, I have a link to a little Google sheet, which is my affirmations, and then I read them. And then there it's really about having the right emotions in there that you embody. Yeah. And one thing I want to add, what I always do, a little trick of mine, I have like a couple, like a kind of an epic music or like chant of something that really makes an epic atmosphere. And with that epic atmosphere, like you get a nice feeling in your body, and it's like, you know, it's super nice. And then with that, it's super easy to summon up these emotions.
Oh, I love it. I did once. Just by coincidence, I responded to 3 questions. Like the first was like, what kind of man do I want to be? What kind of life do I want? And who would be a good companion for that life and for that man? And I responded to these 3 questions, and I realized, dude, the day was amazing. Like how I felt, how I walked and everything. So I really believe that, to train and to program your subconscious mind, especially in the mornings, that's huge. And then when you think about what normal people, like what mainstream people do, quote unquote mainstream people, they wake up, they look at their phone, the first thing, and then they basically compare themselves with other people. They feel bad emotions right off the bat. So it's really powerful, man.
Yeah, that's super powerful. You're conditioning yourself. And this is also a thing to realize. People will be like, oh, what can a phone do? What can a little phone do? You know, like
No,
you know, what can it do? You know, like the phone, whatever. And it's the same thing. I love this analogy with diet. What can a little Brussels sprout do, man? What can a little broccoli do? Like you eat a little bit, man. Yeah, of course it doesn't do anything if you eat one plate of vegetables. Of course you don't get big if you go to the gym once. But man, it's the accumulation of things. Like I said, I've been drinking that stuff for a year now. I feel amazing. I've been going to the gym for years. I'm in really great shape. I feel good. You know,
Yeah.
it's this accumulation. The same thing with the phone. One time checking the phone, one time watching Netflix, of course it's not a problem, but it becomes a habit and you're conditioning yourself. And the same thing, you don't get a result after a little bit of affirmation, visualization, and so on. But man, you're conditioning yourself to a new reality if you do it consistently, and that's what people should think about.
Yeah, it's kind of trippy. I tell that to my friends as well. I think like we all live in the same physical reality, but then some people just live in another spiritual or personal subjective reality, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of trippy because you see people that are pretty negative. You basically tell them the solution and they cannot see it. They cannot realize it. But if you show them something negative, they really focus on that stuff. It's really interesting how the brain of other people work, how the subconscious really interferes with you, and it's just like, man, I guess in the next couple of years we'll hear a lot of stuff from science, I would say. I mean, a lot of guys are already on the edge, like Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, all these guys. So I'm really looking forward what the future holds for that.
Me too. And for me also, it's so fascinating because one of my biggest drivers is curiosity. I'm always fascinated by what's out there in the world. Man, I'm so passionate about this stuff. When someone tells me, yeah, talking about astrophysics, for example, I love this stuff, you know, about the universe, everything what's out there, so incomprehensible. And the same thing on a small scale with our brain. Man, we have no clue what's going on there. We have no clue about the nature of reality. We have no clue about consciousness. You know, we don't really know anything about it. And it's so fascinating that there's so much to discover. And yeah, I'm so excited, man, to see where all this leads.
Yeah, it's a good thing you said about the brain. There's a book called, I guess it's called Incognito by David Eagleman or so. I guess it's David Eagleman.
Oh yeah, I watched. No, I read another book of his. It's The Brain: The Story of You, right?
That's also his book. Yeah. And in the book I've read, he has a quote where he says, "We have more synapses or something like stars in the galaxy or something." And when I've heard that, I was like, when I've read that, I was like, dude, that's so trippy.
Yeah.
We have no idea, dude.
It's so true. It's so true. Like, you know, if you go on a macro scale looking into the universe, that's incomprehensibly large. And then you go on a micro scale, we also have no clue what's going on a quantum level, you know. We have no clue what's going on. And so fascinating, man. It's so humbling because we all know we have things figured out, but man, we don't know shit. We don't know anything, man.
Dude. I realize, like, the older I get, I'm like, dude, we don't know anything at all, man. Like, shh. So we also even have no idea, really. I mean, you have an idea how the subconscious is influencing you, but it's just not. Perhaps most people don't know how far it gets. It's crazy.
And what I like a lot is it's a humble reminder. It's also what Stoicism is all about, you know, that it's this reminder, man, don't take things so seriously. Life's, you know, in the end, it's a game. In the end, it's, you know, we have no clue why we're here. We have no clue what we're even doing here. And, you know, of course, you know the way you should be behaving and everything. And you give yourself some goals. You do something that's meaningful. But in the end, man, let's just don't take it that seriously. You know, let's just come from a place of making it easier for each other. And then everything is more fun.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you something as well, because since I'm like 20 or 19, I have that mindset that my life is basically like a video game, you know, like World of Warcraft. You can like level up and stuff, or Grand Theft Auto, but just less violent. And always when I do something that is outside of my comfort zone, I feel like a video game character. I'm like, it's actually not as real as I think. I don't need to take it so seriously. Just do it and see what happens. I guess you have kind of a similar mindset, I would say.
Yeah, I would say the same. And of course, it's a mindset I want to reinforce, because of course it's easy to lose that mindset. It's just a game. But it's also this idea of, you know, when you're kind of the player in the video game, instead of being the character of it, it's the same idea of being kind of the observer of your thoughts. You know, instead of being super identified with what happens, you can just detach and think like, oh man, super nice. That's just a game right now. Things are meant to be that way. That's what the Stoics call amor fati, to not love the fate, to love whatever happens, to not only accept it, but to actually love it. And this is a mindset shift I love a lot, because it's kind of helping you to say like, this is meant to be that way. And we don't know if there's such a thing as a fate. I'm not saying there's someone controlling, like, you know, the stuff and there's a fate, but just the belief that it's meant to be that way allows you to see things that are kind of quote unquote not good as opportunities.
Yes.
It's the same thing, man. Imagine you're in Grand Theft Auto in GTA and there's like some mission and some shit happens. Man, would you be like, man, what is going on there? No, you know, it's programmed into the game. You know, it's meant to be that way. You know, it's like the final boss or whatever. You know, like you wouldn't be like, oh, you know, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, now the guys are coming. You know, this is the same thing. You wouldn't be all upset about it. And I think we can learn a lot from that analogy. To just, it's meant to be that way. I can learn from that. Level up, like you say, and then super easy.
Yeah. Beautiful what you said. I also heard a quote from, I guess perhaps you know Valentino Kohana on YouTube.
Yes.
His coach, and he had a really cool quote. He said, when something quote unquote bad happens, he asks himself, why is that the best thing that ever happened to me? Because if you ask your brain a question, your brain will always find an answer. So instead of asking yourself, why me? Just ask yourself, why is that the best thing that ever happened to me? And then you can make a reframe, and then you will always find a productive answer or solution.
Man, I love this one. Why is this the best thing that ever happened to me? Exactly. And that goes back to mindset, right? And the Stoics call it having two handles on everything. You know, you can grab it this way or you can grab it that way. And what they mean by that is you can always take it on a positive note or a negative note. And this is the same thing, training yourself to view it in that way. And this goes back, man, one last thing I want to say here is it goes back to the mindset thing. For me, it's personally the mindset that everybody acts from a state of trying to do good. You know, if you think about this, like nobody wakes up in the morning and says like, yeah, how can I ruin someone's day today? You know, how can I screw things up now? You know, no, everybody just tries to do good, tries to find his place on the planet. And when you hammer that in, then, you know, usually when things go wrong, it's usually some people are involved for something, or like, you know, there's something. But having the mindset of like, man, this person also just tries to find his way on the planet, you can come up with so much more understanding, so much more empathy towards other people. And this allows you also to be more peace of mind and, you know, take things easier and don't be so buttered or upset about things. And
it's so true.
It's mindset, man. Mindset is like my glasses here. Mindset determines the way you see things. If these glasses blurry my vision, I take them off and I put on a different mindset. And that's the thing. People think like mindset, you get born with a mindset. No, you can choose your mindset. What is the mindset I want to have? How do I want to see things? How would it be awesome to go through life? Wouldn't it be awesome to go through life and think like everybody's loving and everything is easy? Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah. So why don't you seek out the evidence that supports it, man? And then you actually believe it, because there is evidence that life is easy and that everything is going well and whatever, you know? And I'm not saying that you only take the fluffy, easy things in life, but just choose the stuff that is at the intersection of super helpful and makes sense for me. I can believe that. I'm not saying set out and choose the stuff that makes total nonsense. Like, you know, there's a God out there and he controls everything and everything is nice after we die. I'm not saying
the sound.
Exactly. I'm not saying that stuff. Find something that is helpful, but you actually think you can believe at some point. And then set out and find the evidence that supports that, and then you adopt a new mindset.
Dude, I love it. I love it. Before we stop that podcast, I actually want to ask you one question. What would you say? What is your mindset right now? But what would you say is a useful mindset for most people when we start to think about mindsets?
Yeah, like I said, one useful mindset is, first, everybody tries to do good in the world. I think this is a key mindset of people. People try to do good in the world. And also, I would say, you can create your reality. and I'm not saying that from a woo-woo space, I'm saying that for when you put in the work and you use the knowledge that you have and that is accessible through the internet, you can basically create a life of your dreams. I'm not saying you can become like the best basketball player right now if you're 70 and you're old, but I'm saying we all know, have a kind of a, an understanding of what's achievable and what's good and so on. But you can create a life of your dreams with the things that are in your control right now. And this is the mindset. And you view that everywhere. There's people that have less resources that we have. They're not so privileged, and they achieve these extraordinary things.
Yeah.
So stuff is possible. You just have to look at it. So that's the thing. Number one, people are positive, and second one, if you take responsibility for your life, you can do shit. This is the key quote. Empowerment comes through responsibility. If you take responsibility that I do stuff, and if I man up, if I do my stuff, then I can achieve things. With that mindset, I think, this is the key thing. Not blaming others, but always seeking, how can I make something out of this? Similar to the Valentino Kohana question you said earlier.
Yes.
So these two things, people are friendly, people are nice, plus I can do stuff if I take charge of it. With those two mindsets, you go a very long way.
Yeah. And then something like an abundance mindset, like, for example, the universe helps me to achieve my goals, or something like that, you would say?
Exactly. This is something that is definitely helpful, but I would also look at how believable is that for people when they are starting out, when they hear like, oh, universe helpful, they believe in woo-woo stuff, and they're like, oh man, I can't believe this stuff. Right? So it's usually easier for them to believe that people are actually friendly and everybody tries to do good, because people are a representation of the universe. And when you believe that, it's so much easier to believe that actually the whole surroundings and the whole universe and everybody's friendly. It's just another step of that.
So you would say choose beliefs that are not so out there that you can still kind of believe them when you start out, right?
Exactly. That's the thing. Because then you have the gap between your desired identity and your current identity is not so big, and it's easier to bridge it.
Yes. So do you also look at your beliefs before you go to sleep, talking about the subconscious mind, or?
I used to do it, but right now I have to say, for the sake of consistency, I'm not doing it anymore. Because for me, I found I can be super consistent doing it in the morning, and I feel I could try to do it as well in the evening, but it would be too much of an overkill. I don't want to cram too many things into my routines, and I just trust the process that if I do it consistently in the morning, I see the results, and then I don't overkill anymore. In the evening, I do more relaxing stuff, reading stuff, stretching, maybe listening to a nice audiobook or something like that, But evenings are for me more chill, more relaxing. I don't put too many things in there. But definitely, you're right. It's definitely something that can help people, and people could get benefit from.
Good stuff. So, Kilian, where can people find you?
People find me on Facebook. Just type in my name, Kilian Markert. Maybe you can put it somewhere. I would probably see it in the title or something, Awesome. And just find me on Facebook and on Instagram. Just first name, last name, and I put a lot of content out there regularly on Instagram, regularly on Facebook, and you find me there, guys.
Yeah, to be honest, guys, if you ever want to become more productive and work on your beliefs, on your business, on your productivity, whatever you want, check out his stuff and also reach out to him, because we talk since like 1 year. We are talking together, and always when you talk, I'm getting like these little hints. I start to put that into practice, and man, this stuff really works. It's really important. Also, thanks for your work, man. I really appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate your work as well. You're connecting people here and you're putting out good vibes. I love it. Guys, watch this podcast more. Good nuggets here. And Charles, I appreciate being here.
Awesome. Also, thank you for everybody listening. I will see the next one. Let me also know in the comments below how you found that podcast episode, who you want to see next. And then we'll make something happen also next time. Cheers.